Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Lauren. I do random content on my channel whenever I can, and today I'm back with another Iceberg image video, specifically an anime Iceberg video, and today's video is going to be about the My Hero Academia Iceberg. So I had you all vote on my Instagram accounts on which Iceberg I should tackle next, and the My Hero one beat the Miraculous one by a couple of votes. So the next Iceberg image I will tackle in this series is going to be the Miraculous Iceberg. For those of you guys who don't know how an Iceberg image video goes, basically at the top is where it's most well known to. As it goes down, it becomes much more obscure in its content. I would also like to put out a spoiler warning for this entire video, as this video will talk about both the show and the manga. So for those of you guys who have not watched the show, I would recommend you click off this video. If you have watched the show but have not read the manga, there will be spoiler warnings throughout this video, so make sure you keep an eye out for those. This will also be the first Iceberg image video I do in which I add content that is not a part of this Iceberg image. Credit to Raiden_Ranch who posted this on the r/Iceberg charts on Reddit. And without further ado, let's get on with the video. Who is the traitor? In Season 3, the heroes go to a training camp which is then attacked by the League of Villains. The training area that the students went to was completely secluded and nobody knew the location of where they were except for those who were present. So after the events of the attack and after Bakugo's kidnapping, President Mike makes a comment during the teachers' meeting discussing on what to do about the situation.
信頼云々ってことでこの際言わせてもらうがよ。今回で決定的になったぜ。いるだろう、内通者。合宿先は教師陣とプッシーキャッツしか知らなかった。怪しいのはこれだけじゃねえ。携帯の位置情報なり使えば生徒にだって。
マイクやめてよ。
やめてたまるか。洗おうぜ徹底的に。
そういうお前は自分が 100% 白という証拠を出せるか。ここのものを白だと断言できるか。お互い疑心暗鬼となり内側から崩壊していく。内通者探しは焦って行うべきじゃない。
少なくとも私は君たちを信頼している。その私が白だとも証明しきれないわけだが、とりあえず学校として行わなければならないのは生徒の安全保障さ。
Many fans have suspected who the traitor could be, with Ochako being the main suspect. I will get more into this as we go on with the Iceberg. But to break it to you all, and I don't know if you want to consider this a spoiler or not, but the manga has not touched up on who the traitor was or is. With where the manga is right now, since it's already somewhat close to the conclusion of the series, it's highly unlikely we probably won't know unless we go into some sort of flashback or something. But it has been left up to many fans, and many fans have interpreted it in many different ways, including myself, which I will give my own theory as we continue on into this video. President Mike is the traitor. I have not heard about this particular character being the traitor, but since we're on the topic of the UA traitor, this is one that was on this list. To my understanding, I think how people may think that President Mike is the traitor is because he is the one who brought up the idea that there could possibly be a traitor at UA. Do I think it's possible it could be him? Who knows? Who honestly knows? Because people have said the same thing about Aizawa, but we're not really sure because there's not really any proof to it. To be honest, I think there is more proof to it being a student than it is to be a teacher. But, you know, I'm not sure, and like I stated earlier, it hasn't been confirmed yet. Dabi is a Todoroki. I won't be putting a full manga spoiler because this was once a theory, so it will just be a slight spoiler for those of you guys who don't want to really know much of what happened. So in short terms, Dabi is Toya Todoroki. I remember asking my friends when I first started the show if Dabi and Todoroki were somehow related, and they had told me that it was a theory because, you know, at the time it hadn't been confirmed yet, but it was confirmed back in November during the manga release of that, and Dabi was trending during the US election.
Get up, cocksuckers, it's all over.
But to be very much honest, the manga panels that came out with this are top tier, and I cannot wait to see them get animated. Also, big question. How did Endeavor not know that Dabi was somehow, could possibly be his dead son? Because Endeavor was the one who trained Dabi to have the power he has now. So, how would he just not recognize it? That's my question. So yeah, to end this one off, it was confirmed that he was Toya Todoroki, and I cannot wait to see this get animated because I just know it's going to be great. The fandom. I have made 2 previous videos talking about the My Hero Academia fandom, so if you want to go check those out, I will be putting 2 links down below in the description, and those are much more specific than what I will be talking about in this particular part of the iceberg. Many people have the notion that the My Hero fandom is one of the worst fandoms in anime, as well as it keeping people from watching the show, which, one, I don't agree with that notion that a fandom should keep you from watching the show, because the show is good. You shouldn't let a bad part of the fandom ruin that for you, because there will always be a bad part in every anime fandom. And 2, I will agree that there are some bad sides of the fandom, but you have to remember it's not everyone. Because there are some bad sides, such as the exclusion of black cosplayers in the fandom, as well as homophobia and many other things, but it's not everyone in the fandom. I have met a lot of nice people who I consider online friends that I have made during quarantine who are in this fandom, so I wouldn't say it's everyone, but there are some people who will take advantage of it and do bad things, but you will see that in every anime fandom. All For One is Deku's dad. The theory is very well known in the fandom. However, at the time that I am recording this video, the theory has not yet been confirmed. According to someone who posted this on an anonymous forum site, it reads, "There are parallels between Tomura Shigaraki and Izuku Midoriya, who are of the same generation. Just as Midoriya is chosen to be All Might's successor, Shigaraki is being groomed as the successor for All Might's arch-nemesis, All For One. While Shigaraki was the grandchild of the last user for All For One, before All Might, Midoriya will be the son of All For One. And All For One had knowingly taken in Shigaraki, who is the grandson of All Might's master. So it would be a neat parallel/contrast if All Might unknowingly taken in All For One's son or grandson as his successor, plus All For One shares a similarity to Darth Vader. He wears a mobile life support system and a black helmet that hides his deformed face after an encounter with the protagonist, Midoriya's mentor. Like how Darth Vader's deformed face was caused by Obi-Wan, so it would be fitting if All For One turned out to be Midoriya's father. I mean, it was said that Midoriya's dad had a fire-breathing quirk, but All For One has the ability to steal quirks, so it is possible that All For One had stolen a fire-breathing quirk and had used that as a cover. The entire theory is very long, however, here are 2 other things to back it up. The sensei's little brother is a lot like Midoriya, how he was quirkless and had a strong sense of justice, as well as Deku's doctor is the same doctor who was working for All For One, so it would fit if Deku's father was All For One. I'd really like to hear what you all think about this theory, so comment it down below. Mineta hate. This honestly needs no explanation whatsoever. If you watch the show, you can kind of already see why people don't like Mineta, and for the main reason, it's because he's a pervert. That's it. This really doesn't need any other explanation than that. Vigilantes. Vigilantes is the prequel to My Hero Academia, in which it offers fans a new look at the world of quirks and heroes from the perspective of civilians eager to put their abilities to use. But becoming a hero requires training and licensure, and having a powerful quirk isn't something a person can change. The prequel follows Koshi Hamawari, I'm sorry if I butchered the name, a college-age boy whose quirk, Slide and Glide, isn't exactly the flashiest. With 3 points of contact on the ground, he can move at about the speed of a bike, and that's that. No strength, no durability, and no chance of becoming a hero. Koshi instead satisfies his desire of being a hero by doing mundane good deeds. For example, picking up litter and helping lost travelers under the name Nice Guy. Of course, even this limited use of his quirk means he's technically breaking the law. which mostly attracts only the occasional chiming from a police officer. At least that was the case until so-called quote-unquote instant villains began popping up. Instant villains are people who take a quirk-enhancing, inhibition-reducing drug called trigger, often causing them to begin rampaging or acting on base surges. Since these attacks occur so suddenly and quickly, the pros can't always make it in time. Koshi takes on a new name, the Crawler, and teams up with a vigilante hero named Knuckle Duster and a pop icon wannabe named Pop Step in order to take down these instant villains as soon as they appear. All Might's hinted death, My Hero Academia manga spoilers. Many fans already have the theory that All Might is possibly going to die by the end of the series. In chapter 257, it follows All Might's revelations to Izuku and Bakugo about One for All's previous users and their various quirk powers. After that important little exposition dump / foreshadow, Class 1A gets together in the dorms for a nice hot pot meal and bonding session, which also feels somewhat ominous. That's because Izuku takes a moment to look around at all of his friends in Class 1A and how they've come together and realizes just how blessed he is. For us, the readers, it kind of feels like a hint that this is the last time Izuku and all of his friends might be happy and alive together. While the UA students get their nosh on, All Might sneaks outside of the UA dorms where Eraserhead finds him sitting on a bench watching the night sky. All Might confides in Aizawa that I've decided to keep on living, but this feeling like I'm powerless keeps bubbling up inside me. All Might explains that watching the Class 1A students learn to master their quirks and grow in power only makes him feel that much more powerless. Shota reminds All Might that as a symbol of peace, he has had propped up Japan's pro-hero community for years on end, and that coming down from that kind of hero worship fame would be painful. Shota ends by telling All Might that all he has to do is live to continue being a symbol to the next generation of heroes, and pretty much sounds like a death knell for the iconic hero. A couple of weeks ago, when chapter 312 was released, many fans speculated that All Might possibly died due to a bomb that caused his car to explode. However, as of the making of this video, chapter 317 was released a couple of days ago, showing that All Might is still alive. So it is unknown when exactly he's going to die in the manga. Fake Bakugo death screenshot. Sometime last year, a manga panel seemingly from the My Hero Academia manga was floating around the internet in which it shows Bakugo's supposed death. However, to all the anime watchers, he's not dead, he's still alive. So everybody take a breather. That's why I didn't put a spoiler warning for this, because it was a fake manga panel. Honestly, if you want to make sure that your favorite character isn't dead in the manga or anything like that, just check the wiki. Usually the fandom wiki always has the status of the characters in which if they are dead or alive in the anime or the manga. Shinzo in Class 1A. As we all know, Shinzo was one of the only students from Class 1B that went against the students in Class 1A. In Season 2, we see how Shinzo wanted to get into the hero course but wasn't able to because of his quirk. After the competition, we then learn in Season 5 that Aizawa took Shinzo on and became his mentor, in which he taught him different abilities that he could use along with his quirk. This allowed for Shinzo to better his abilities and even work with Class 1A during the joint training arc, which is currently being wrapped up in the anime. That's a nasty scar you got there. A very ironic line that many people were waiting to see get animated was said by Todoroki to his dad, in which it's an ironic reference to how Todoroki also has a scar on his eye, just like how Endeavor now has it after the battle in Season 4.
とりあえずお仕事お疲れ様でしたってことでね。
傷跡ひでえな。
二人とも今日はねぎらおうって約束でしょ。
However, as we all know, Todoroki's scar was caused by his mom, who was pushed to an extreme level due to Endeavor's abuse on his family. Kachan, we were 5. Oh god, this one is gonna be a hard one to talk about. I had no prior knowledge to what this was until I searched it up for this video, and now I'm traumatized. Great! Anyway, for those of you guys who are aware of what this is, you probably know how disturbing it is. I now know how disturbing it is. So basically what this is an animation that you can find on YouTube where basically it portrays Deku and Bakugo in this scenario where they're about to do quote-unquote it, if you know what I mean. And Bakugo makes the comment, "What if your mom catches us again?" And Deku says, "Kachan, we were 5, meaning that's the last time their mom caught them in that same position, doing that same thing. So, to you lucky people who had no knowledge of what this was, now you know. Now you exactly know what this is. I'm not going to show the animation to spare you all from that, but all I have to question is, why would someone make content like this that portrays canonly minor characters in a situation like this, then allude to the theory that they did the same exact thing when they were 5? I'm sorry, I just can't understand that, and that's what I find disturbing about it. I have not seen the animation video. Like I said, you can find it on YouTube. I personally didn't watch it. All I did was search up the thing, and somebody on an anonymous forum website just explained the whole animation video, so that kept me from watching it. I just found the whole situation disturbing, and if you want to watch it yourself, go right ahead. I'm not going to stop you. Student similarities to pro heroes. The similarities of the students and the pro heroes can go based off the character design or of the quirk, such as Deku and All Might and Shinzo and Aizawa. The quirk singularity theory. The quirk singularity is a concept that is about the danger posed by quirks becoming stronger and stronger with each generation. The theory states that as the generations follow one another, quirks will begin to blend and evolve, producing stronger and much more complex quirks. However, with this increase in power, the quirks will also become much more difficult to control, since the human body doesn't evolve quickly enough to keep up. Eventually, there will come a point where quirks will become too overpowered and complicated, and no one will be able to control them anymore. This theory was originally called the paranormal singularity theory, although over time it would also become known as the quirk singularity doomsday theory. Deku's doctor was the one who came up with this theory, and nobody took him seriously. The only one who took him seriously was All For One. With All For One's ability to use so many quirks, the idea that his body was not able to adapt was a serious issue for him. So All For One approached the doctor and offered him his help and patronage to continue his research and investigations in this regard. In appreciation, the doctor became one of his most loyal allies. Mutant quirks. Mutant quirks are quirks that feature permanent altercations on a user's body. Examples of this can be Hawks having wings, Jiro having wires connected to her ears, and Mirko having a bunny tail and ears. Jump Force. Jump Force is a Japanese crossover fighting game which is on this list because it has Deku in the game, as well as having All Might, Bakugo, and Todoroki in the DLC. Father, My Hero Academia manga spoilers. This is in reference to Shigaraki wearing 14 hands on his body, with the most prominent of them being the one that covers his face. The hand on his face is literally his father's hand. When he was 5, his quirk accidentally activated and he killed his entire family. Since his quirk was in its primitive stage, he didn't disintegrate them completely, just blew them apart so their hands survived. The hand of his father serves as a constant reminder of the abuse he faced at the hands of his father. Taco Bell ad. This is so funny. This person I have mentioned before on this channel in a previous video I did talking about My Hero. Anyway, so this person does imitations of Deku mainly. He also does Bakugo and many other characters, but he mainly does Deku, and it's really funny the impersonations he puts on in all of his videos. Like this ad, for example. It's so dramatic that it makes me laugh.
Run to Taco Bell, 'cause nacho fries are back. head to Taco Bell and silence your cravings before nacho fries disappear again. Only at Taco Bell, at participating U.S. locations for a limited time only.
Canon status of the movies. According to Funimation, the movie is not canon to the manga storyline. It is an isolated story, so you really don't need to be caught up to that point to understand and enjoy the movie. Momo and Overhaul are related. According to someone who posted this on the r/Boku no Hero Academia subreddit on Reddit, it reads, when Overhaul was just introduced, there was a theory that Momo and Overhaul are related because of the markings on their skin when they use their quirks. The theory also said that the reason that Momo is so rich might be due to her connections to the Yazuka from her parents. I didn't see anyone mention this now that the arc is over, but I thought it was interesting. Many people in the comments agreed with this theory, seeing that it would be interesting, and I agree too, it would be very interesting, but I don't see it plausible, that's the problem. Anime edit/body shaming. A main problem that many fans noticed when it came to the animation adaptation of the My Hero Academia manga was that the character designs of mainly the female characters became much more skinnier in their body structure. I personally don't like the anime change compared to the manga because it kind of does away with the representation that could have been there. And something I've noticed on TikTok, especially in the cosplay community, is that you'll have these cosplayers, for example, who do an Uraraka cosplay, right? And they will get told that they're quote-unquote not skinny enough to do an Uraraka cosplay when they can look exactly like how she looks in the manga, and they will still get told that, and that's pretty sad. And honestly, just I don't know why people go to such extreme lengths to make people feel bad when cosplay is just supposed to be fun. You get me? Like, I don't know. I really don't know. Aoyama staring at the viewer. Oh my god, I thought I was going crazy when I kept seeing this. Like, literally, I would be watching My Hero in my kitchen, and I would be making food, and I would look up at the TV, and I would just see him staring straight into my soul. Like, just look at it! Oh, it's so weird and creepy.
Look at it! Look at it! Look at it! Look at it! I want all of you to look at it!
It honestly is so creepy how he is the only character who constantly breaks the fourth wall. And then to add on to it, the role he has with Deku in season 4 just adds a little bit of questioning, like what is going on and stuff. Like, very much speculation. Going back to the UA trader, he is one who many fans have speculated to be the UA trader as well. I personally think he is, and I will get into this more when we get much more lower into the iceberg. Kaminari's mom. A character that makes a slight appearance in the My Hero Academia movie has been questioned by many fans on if this is Denki Kaminari's mom. It has not been confirmed, but many fans have taken it into the context that that is his mom, and they have added her into the list of MILFs along with Bakugo's mom. Marvel/DC similarities. I think the similarities are kind of obvious because My Hero is a hero type anime with heroes and villains, and the same thing goes for DC and Marvel, where it's heroes and villains also. And I think a good comparison can be, for example, in My Hero, the League of Villains has some shared similarity to, in DC, the Suicide Squad, in a way. You get me? So I think there are some similarities there. And they've actually made reference to it. For example, I believe there's a canon reference in where Sero has some liking to the American superhero that has a power like his or a quirk like his, which is Spider-Man. So I believe that's canon. I am not sure though. Ochako with Mount Lady's quirk. In a prototype concept, Ochako was originally Yu Takayama, I'm sorry if I butchered that, possessing both the identity Mount Lady and the gigantification quirk. This was scrapped because the author thought a main character having such a quirk would be too troublesome for her. Her original name, Quirk, along with its abilities and superhero identity, were later given to another character who also filled her role in Chapter 1. And her old appearance had been given to Yui Kodai, I'm sorry if I butchered the name, who has a similar name and quirk as well. Black Clover mangaka sketch. Turns out that the creators of My Hero and Black Clover are actually friends in real life, and they have actually drawn each other's animes in their respective art styles. Earlier this year, Black Clover's author drew Mirko and Hawks and posted it on Twitter. Shoji is a parasite reference. Somebody on Tumblr came up with the theory that Shoji's abilities could be a direct reference to the parasite, the Maxim. The similarities look there, but then not there at the same time, if you know what I mean. So, I don't know, I actually like to hear what you guys think about this. The crossed out faces of 1A, slight My Hero Academia manga spoilers. Sometime last year, Horikoshi posted this onto his Twitter, in which it shows Class 1A, and it also shows some of the faces of Class 1A being crossed out. There was little to no context with this post, so it has been left up to fan interpretation. People have assumed that the crossed out faces could represent the characters who are already dead in the manga, but the manga is still going on and nobody on that entire list is dead yet. However, in the small margin of the pictures, you can see what looks like Pokemon, so honestly, this entire picture is kind of confusing. But I would like to hear what you guys think about it in the comments. Kiribaku Mobile. So according to people on Reddit, there was this girl who would go to cons, I guess, and she was very obsessed with Bakugo, and she really liked the ship Kiribaku. So basically, she decked out her car in a Bakugo theme, a Bakugo and Kirishima theme, and yeah, that's what it is, with the license plate reading Bakugo. Horikoshi death threats. There were two separate occasions in which this happened, one in 2018 and one that happened last year, in which fans of My Hero sent death threats to Horikoshi. The 2018 incident was when Horikoshi wanted Endeavor to have a redemption arc for all the stuff he's done to his kids, and many fans weren't happy about that. I do not see that as a reason to send death threats to a creator of a show you like. But anyway, so the 2020 incident was a shipping incident. That incident was when fans of My Hero really wanted Horikoshi to make their ships canon, which mainly was Bakugo and Kirishima. I believe it was just Bakugo and Kirishima. I'm not sure if it was any other character ships, but that's the one that I was mainly familiar with. And basically they sent death threats to him in order to make those ships canon. And that was for, I believe, Season 4 or Season 5 coming up. And honestly, I just question, for both scenarios, I question, why send hate to somebody who made a show you like? You know? Especially death threats. Like, that's way too far. That's way too far. So, why would you do that to a creator of a show you like? I just never comprehended that. I never understood it. Tortelloni and cheese. I am not gonna put myself through that pain ever again. So, to anybody who wants to go and look for the audio, be my guest, because I am not gonna play it in this video because I was so disturbed. So yeah, let me explain what this was to those of you who have no idea what this was. So sometime at the end of last year, there was an audio going around where basically it was someone who sounded like Deku. It was not the person who did the Taco Bell ad, but it was someone who sounded like him, and so he did a voice impression of Deku. It was played multiple times on TikTok that it got engraved into my mind, and I don't like it whatsoever. So how the audio went was like, "It's time for lunch. What do you got there, Deku? Is that macaroni and cheese?" And he was like, "Oh, kind of. It's Todoroki and cheese." And it was called that because it had Todoroki's you-know-what in the macaroni and cheese. Oh my god! I'm having flashbacks from the time where I heard that audio. Anyway, so that person decided to make another one, but with hawks after that. And I think I'm gonna just end it off here because I'm already disturbed and I don't want any more flashbacks. Mirko dub controversy. The debate arose after the latest dubbed episodes for My Hero Academia went live. Funimation rounded out Season 4 with the dub drop, and that introduced Mirko to the world. Anaris Quiñones was hired to play Mirko for the dub, but some fans felt like the talented actress did not do the character justice. The debate about Mirko's voice escalated a fair bit online before a fellow My Hero Academia actor stepped in to defend Quiñones from those who felt the actress didn't portray the black pro hero accurately. I'm disappointed. So many people applauded me for being a black man voicing a non-black character, and then tried to police culturally how a person of color should have portrayed an actual character of color. An actress who honestly completely reflects the character. Zeno Robinson shared, the actor who plays Hawks in the show. As for Quiñones, the actress has been nothing but supportive of Mirko while spotlighting the need for inclusivity with voice acting. With Robinson on board, the My Hero Academia fanbase is pushing back against those critiquing the pair's performance, but there are far fewer haters than there are supporters. This brings into a bigger question of the race of voice actors, with many white voice actors examining their roles on playing characters of color. Yagami Yato. I have talked about Yagami Yato before on this channel in a previous video talking about My Hero Academia. But for those of you guys who are unaware, Yagami Yato is an 18-plus ASMRist who is very well known in the anime community. She is mainly well known for her anime voiceovers of My Hero Academia characters as well as Haikyuu characters. She has been in many controversies because of her audios, with two of them being a lewding allegation and a grooming allegation. The lewding allegation comes from her aging up her characters in order to sexualize them, with the majority of the characters she's aging up are minor characters. With the grooming allegation, that one was a couple of months ago, in which somebody on Twitter had posted screenshots from Yagami Yato's Discord, in which this person, who was 17 at the time, had asked Yagami Yato if she could possibly get not safe for work content, and Yagami Yato had sent it to her. The grooming allegation had caused Yagami Yato to lose about 200,000 subscribers from her YouTube channel. Many people still go back and forth on TikTok on if this whole allegation was true or not, and I honestly believe the victim in any situation like this. I'll always believe the victim, and many other people did too. After the incident, nothing really happened except for her putting back up her 18-plus audios, which she had taken down during the midst of this incident, and she had also issued out an apology. Umadoki Zoo Barrage. I'm sorry if I butchered the name, but what these two were basically two series that Horikoshi made for Shonen Jump, with Umadoki Zoo being the first series and Barrage being the second series, and both of them have a lot of components of My Hero Academia in it. Ground Zero. Ground Zero is in reference to what many fans want Bakugo's hero name to be, as in Bakugo's beta design sheets, the name Ground Zero was used, so many people found out and picked it up as a very cool hero name for him. It is extremely well suited and sounds pretty cool, with the meaning of Ground Zero being the starting point of an explosion. Zuko copy. It has been stated by a lot of fans in both series that Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender and Sho Todoroki from My Hero Academia share strong similarities. Both have an abusive father who they despise, both have a scar in their left eye, both did not see their mothers for years, both have fire powers, and both have a rival that they feel like they need to surpass. And last, if it's true that Sho Todoroki takes inspiration from Zuko, that can confirm a theory from the series, in which they would both have a prodigy brother who has a power of blue flames. Another plus that implies that the Avatar series does have influence in My Hero Academia is the fact that the creator likes a lot of American media. Deku's quirk was stolen. Earlier in the Iceberg, I had mentioned that All For One was working with a doctor who that doctor was the same doctor that treated Deku earlier in the series. So many people have speculated that Deku's doctor and All For One had teamed up together to steal Deku's quirk. According to somebody who made this theory on the My Hero Academia wiki, it reads, "You might or might not have heard of these theories before, but I would like to share them. Do you remember back in season 1 of My Hero Academia when Inko Midoriya, Deku's mother, took him to the doctor to see about Deku's late bloomer quirk, and how the doctor was discouraging Deku and his mother about it, saying, 'I'm afraid there's no hope for him'? That might not sound deep for a few, but couldn't he have said something that's way lighter than what he said? Especially with the tone of him sounding like he doesn't care about the child in front of him not having a quirk, aka Deku. After reading a few official theories about Deku having a quirk before, many canon claims have said that the doctor himself was the person who stole Deku's original quirk, which could have been fire breath or something like that. There is also a part in the manga that had a person who is claimed as the doctor for All For One having same weird looking glasses, facial hair, his head having no hair at all, and could it be that All For One gave the doctor a temporary quirk that gave him the ability to steal other people's quirks, like what happened to our beloved Izuku? So it is possible that the doctor stole Deku's quirk and put him through all of the misery and sorrow of knowing that he wouldn't be able to become the greatest hero without a quirk. Tenya Ida Minecraft. This was basically a video of somebody saying how Ida looks like he's straight out of Minecraft, and to be honest, the way he walks with his hands up just kind of does give Minecraft vibes. Jack Midoriya. This was the prototype for My Hero Academia, in which this was the original character of Izuku Midoriya. The synopsis of the original prototype for My Hero Academia reads, Jack Midoriya works in a company that sells hero items and dreams of becoming a real hero himself. The flawed hero system. Many fans have already taken into account that the hero system is pretty flawed in My Hero Academia, especially after the Stain arc. According to Alexandra10566, who posted this in the r/Boku no Hero Academia subreddit on Reddit, it reads, "How is the hero system flawed in My Hero Academia and why?" Hey guys, this question has been nagging me for a while now, and I just want to hear everyone's thoughts on this. But first, I actually started to question this after I watched the movie Joker. So I started to wonder how that different look on society and villains relates to My Hero Academia. Anyways, we know that the heroes are flawed. As Stain put it, there are just too many fake heroes. There is also the fact that heroes have too much power, in that they can decide on who to save and who not to save. Also, in a society that is black and white like My Hero Academia, people that are born into a darker side of society is almost impossible to get out of it. For example, with Shigaraki, due to the nature of his quirk, it was inevitable for him to end up as a villain. Likewise, people without quirks can't become heroes and are looked down upon. The question is, should heroes/society divide people based on their quirks? Like in Shinzo's case, most people see his quirk as something that can be used for evil because society in My Hero Academia is so fixated on heroics and quirks like One for All, that people that have quirks like Shinzo are instantly overlooked. World War II name controversy. Back in 2020, Horikoshi had to change the name of the villain Darmuwa Ujiko, I'm sorry if I butchered the name, after the character's real name was revealed as a reference to victims of human experimentation during World War II. The manga villain, who is shown to engage in human experimentation himself, had his full name revealed in chapter 259 as Maruta Shiga. Maruta refers to the code name for human experimentation undertaken by the Imperial Japanese Army's Unit 731 during the Second Sino-Japanese War of World War II. The Chinese victims of the experiments were called Maruta, the Japanese word for logs, as a reference to the facility's cover story that it was a lumber mill. Victims including children, the elderly, pregnant women, and the mentally handicapped were purposefully infected with diseases, dissected, lobotomized, and amputated while still alive. Readers shared their shock at the reference. Horikoshi made an apologetic statement on social media on Monday and stated that he will change the character's name. Translated, this is what his apology read. Many have pointed out that the character name Shiga Maruta in this week's Jump chapter has brought up recollections of acts done in the past. I did not intend for that name to be associated as such. I will take this matter very seriously and will change the name. Because of this controversy, China had banned My Hero Academia from being sold and shown in their country, and Horikoshi had received a lot of death threats. Monoma and Toga are related, My Hero Academia manga spoilers. According to a person who posted this on an anonymous forum site, it reads, "Okay, so allow me to explain this theory. In my opinion, it doesn't seem very far-fetched, but I would like to take note that there are manga spoilers ahead, so stop reading right now if you don't want to get a spoiler. Anyway, it is very well likely that Toga and Monoma are siblings. Obviously, appearance is one of the key factors here. They both have blonde hair. I mean, yeah, they have different eye colors, but siblings do that sometimes. Toga is the oldest child in her family, and she has 2 unnamed parents. Her backstory is somewhat vague, but what we do know is that she drank the blood of a boy she loved, then ran away from her graduation in middle school. Monoma and Toga are around the same age, so Toga can easily be older, or in the case that they are twins, be the one born first. One of the key things that I noticed was that their quirks are similar, at least now they are. Since her reawakening, Toga can now copy appearances as well as quirks with her quirk. Monoma's quirk is copy. Therefore, both can copy quirks. Her being an insane lunatic can also connect to Monoma's strange attitude. He does act a little crazy a lot in the series. The craziness he possesses can be because he's related to Toga or has lived with her, or it can be from denial that his sister is a monster and has ran away. It's a really interesting theory, and I believe it's true. What do you guys think? Many people disagreed in the comments, saying, what would the impact be and what is the whole point of it? Personally, if this theory was true, I think the only impact it can play in the storyline is having to do with the UA trader, because Monoma was there at the training camp, so there could possibly be, that link in which he could be the traitor if they're siblings. But I don't know. This is just trying to tie the two together. But I don't even know if the theory is true whatsoever. So, because this is just a theory. But I would like to hear what you guys think about it in the comments down below. Ochako is the traitor. Many people associate the UA traitor theory with Ochako because many people believe it's her who's the traitor. Somebody named Crocs had explained the theory online, and this is what it reads. Alright, so, before all of you attack my cute ass, let me explain this. There is a good chance that the traitor might be Uraraka Ochako. I got really suspicious. The main reason why is because she's been practically useless plot-wise and pretty boring so far, and there has to be more to her than a stupid crush on the main character. So let me begin my explanation, far back at the USJ attack. People disregard the traitor Uraraka theory many times because she let Ida escape at the USJ, so she can't be the traitor, but then seem to forget that the entire reason why the villains were at the USJ was to fight All Might, and All Might wasn't at the USJ at the time, so Uraraka could have just let Ida go just so he can go get All Might and the villains could go back with the original plan. Also, a spy's job is to blend in, and her letting Ida out made everyone trust her and immediately less suspicious. The summer camp. Remember how Uraraka used the martial art technique she has learned from Gun Ahead against Toga? Here we see Toga saying, "You're the same as me." We know later that she means in the sense that they both admire someone, but Uraraka looks a little too thrown back. She could be thinking like, "What the fuck, Toga? You're gonna throw away my cover." Then Toga kind of stabs Uraraka with that needle thing and begins sucking her blood, which brings me to my second point. Afterwards, when Deku and the others come to check on Uraraka and Tsuyu, why does Uraraka not tell them about how Toga sucked some blood out of her? They did say, "We don't know what her quirk is, so we can't be risky." So Toga stealing blood from her would have been very important information. The internship arc. Y'all remember how Toga, while disguised as Kami, told Uraraka this? Uraraka Ochako, a lot of faith has been placed in you. This could be a huge hint that Uraraka might be the traitor, and Toga could be telling Uraraka that a lot of faith has been placed on her and not to fuck up, which then would explain Uraraka pushing her feelings for Deku away. Otherwise, having a crush doesn't really affect you. You can improve yourself and still have someone you like. But maybe Uraraka had to push those feelings away so she doesn't have any distractions to distract her from the thing that mattered, which was being a spy for the League of Villains. Which also explains why Toga told her that. She didn't want Uraraka messing up because of a stupid crush, so she had to remind her that a lot of faith was placed on her. My opinion, I think Uraraka would become much more interesting if she was revealed to be the traitor. She's a fan favorite and it would be such a twist if she was the traitor. In the future, she could struggle with her feelings for Deku and end up becoming a double spy for the heroes. The villains might have pressured her into becoming a spy for them in promise of a lot of money for her family, or they could be threatening her by using her family. I really think that the Uraraka being the traitor theory is such a good theory, and I would really love to see it happen because I do think that Uraraka is the traitor, but I also do think Oyama is the traitor, but we'll get into that later. But I'd really like to hear what you guys think about this. But like I said earlier, the manga has not touched up on the UA traitor whatsoever. So we don't know if it's gonna be talked about or whatever. I really hope it does because it's very interesting. Nomus are from dead/kidnapped heroes and civilians. Like we've said before, the Nomu are made from the corpses of people with either the right body structure or the right quirk. And yeah, we said corpses. Most Nomu, as it turns out, aren't made from just one body, but rather they're Frankenstein's monster-esque because they're a mishmash of multiple bodies. Mitsuki is abusive. According to many fans, this goes back and forth on which if this is true or not, with many people saying yes and many people saying no. According to someone who posted this earlier this month, it reads, like most of the answers here, I have to say yes and no. Yes, Mitsuki did slap her son upside the head for no apparent reason. Yes, upon his retaliation, Mitsuki did blame her son for being kidnapped. And yes, Katsuki did at one point admit to being raised quote-unquote violently or roughly depending on the translation. On their own, these all paint a pretty negative picture, especially for those with Western cultured standards, but you have to take a few things into account before you jump to conclusions. Number one is the tone. This is an anime. Behaviors are inevitably going to be exaggerated to make a point. For example, Ichigo's father in Bleach. In the real world, he'd probably be considered a bad kind of parent at best and an abusive parent at worst, because in real life, you're not supposed to physically attack your children to the point of injury in order to quote-unquote train their reflexes or whatever. It's the tone and the context chosen by the creator that separates these actions from those of an abuser. In the case of Bakugo Mitsuki, it seems pretty clear that her slaps and words, however hurtful, were intended to be translated by the audience as slapstick humor. Although admittedly, it could be argued that Horikoshi was trying to communicate something deeper. If All Might's line regarding the dysfunctionality of the Bakugo family is anything to go by, Katsuki's echoing of his mother's words during Kacchan vs. Deku 2 is also suspicious, but that to me seemed like a crap mental health thing rather than a direct result of Mitsuki's word choice. Number 2, culture. I'm guessing you know by now that Japanese parenting standards differ from American ones. I myself grew up with a rough around the edges Latina mother, and she smacked me more times than I can count. So I wouldn't necessarily consider that particular behavior quote-unquote abusive, especially if it's warranted. Like in my case, I was a nightmare. In Katsuki's case, the one thing that throws me off is the first slap she hits him with. See, when my mom smacked me, she always had an actual valid reason, namely that I was actively doing something wrong. Katsuki, on the other hand, wasn't actually doing anything, just sitting there being a person, and she up and decided that hitting him was a good idea. It threw me off a bit, but I wouldn't call it physical abuse. just unwarranted and slightly demeaning, particularly when paired with what she said to him upon his retaliation. It was an unnecessary use of force, and I'm guessing it was for comedic purposes. Ultimately, I think Katsuki's home life is up to interpretation. We haven't exactly gotten to see much of his family in the manga, and Horikoshi has been sending some pretty mixed signals about it. Katsuki said he was raised a certain way, and that quote-unquote way was immediately shot down by a character who canonically was abused. You cannot tell me that that's not a little sus. I'd like to hear what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Tokoyami is the quirk. Some fans have the interpretation that Tokoyami is just used as a vessel and Dark Shadow is actually the person behind it. This one seems a bit far-fetched, but at the same time it doesn't, because Dark Shadow has a mind of its own. So I really don't know. Overhaul makes Eri feel his past trauma. Some fans had the theory that since Eri's quirk is rewind, she is able to feel Overhaul's past trauma because of it. As we all know, in both the show and the manga, Overhaul would kill Eri and bring her back and have it go on again and again and again, which very much traumatized her. So what if he had her relive his trauma in order to traumatize her some more? That is a possible theory, and it's honestly really sad if that's true. Total fatality of the Decay Wave, My Hero Academia manga spoilers. The Decay Wave was a complete destruction of a city by Shigaraki and the League of Villains. It led to a whole bunch of pro hero deaths, with most notably Midnight and a whole bunch of civilian deaths. It is completely unknown how many people actually died from this attack, but a theory that has come from this, which I will get into later, is that Deku's mom is possibly dead because of this. Before we get started with the last added layer onto the iceberg, I want to put out a content warning for the remainder of that iceberg. 4 of those topics will talk about suicide, rape, and pedophilia. So if you are uncomfortable with those topics, I would recommend you skip those or click off the video altogether. Deku committed suicide in the beginning. In episode 1, we are shown Deku's backstory in how he was quirkless and how he was bullied for it in school. Bullying in general can honestly take a toll on anybody, and it didn't help that one of his closest childhood friends was one of the people who bullied him. Many people have used this scene in particular to prove the point.
そんなにヒーローにつきてんなら効率いい方法あるぜ。来世は個性が宿ると信じて屋上からのワンチャンダイブ。何?
The scene itself did rub me the wrong way because Deku considered him a friend, and I don't think a friend is supposed to tell you that. Am I right? Anyway, so the entire theory is very, very dark, and so basically what happens after that scene is that many people have speculated that Deku actually listened and he committed suicide, and the entire events of the series are just a figment of his imagination before he goes into the afterlife. The Hawks Twitter rape fan art. So I have talked about this before on my channel, in which what this was back in the spring, somebody had drawn Hawks as a child getting raped, and they posted it on Twitter. I still cannot comprehend why somebody did that, and their whole reasoning for it was because they hated Hawks. That does not give you a right to draw any type of media like that, because that is such a real world situation that many people go through in society, and it just disgusts me completely that somebody did that. And yeah, that's exactly what that was. Aoyama is a traitor. I personally think it's either him or Ochako, but I really wanted to add him onto the list because he wasn't on the original list by the creator. So this is how I personally think the theory goes and why I think it's him. So first off, like I said earlier in this Iceberg, he is the only character who breaks the fourth wall and looks at the viewer. You cannot tell me that is there for nothing. That literally just gives me the vibe that he knows something. Someone on Reddit adds on to the theory, and it goes like this. When Dabi saw Aoyama in the woods during the forest training camp arc, he simply ignores him. Now, I know that the mission had already succeeded, but what if Dabi realized it was Aoyama and knew he was on the list of people not to kill or capture? Aoyama also makes a comment in which he seems to hate his quirk. This can connect him to All for One in a big way. We already know that his quirk injures himself and the belt he wears almost makes him normal. However, this is not entirely the case. One for All and Shigaraki can be manipulating Aoyama to do their bidding, promising him that they will quote-unquote cure him of his quirk once he's finished spying on the class NUA. Aoyama also has an apparent lack of interest in his studies, and becoming a hero are apparent, and another clue to him being a traitor. Many people do have the theory, however, that Aoyama is not the traitor, but he's a spy. So this actually can make sense because Aoyama always keeps to himself, and the message that he does give to Deku does seem very ominous that it could be a message that he knows who the traitor is, but we don't really know. But it does seem very plausible that he's more of a spy than he is the actual traitor. Midnight and Gentle Criminal are pedophiles. This topic can be very much debated about because it has gone back and forth in the fandom on if this is true or not. So for both of these characters, there's two different reasonings for it. With Gentle Criminal being a pedophile because he groomed La Brava, and Midnight just straight up being a pedophile. So let me explain these two, and I will try to give an unbiased view on it because I'm not even sure if either of these are true. So in Gentle Criminal's case, La Brava met him when she was 15. So under the eyes of the American law, she would be a minor because she's under 18. Canonly in the show right now, she's like 21, 20, I'm not really sure on the age, but she's over 18. So many fans have the theory that Gentle Criminal possibly groomed La Brava because, like I said earlier, she was 15 at the time when she met him. However, this can kind of be debunked in a way because, as you see in the show, the relationship kind of seems very one-sided with La Brava having feelings towards Gentle. So I'm not sure about this one. I'd like to hear what you guys think in the comments though. In Midnight's case, however, this one is much more controversial, with people saying that she's not and then people saying that she is. And this one is very, very much debated on. Many people use the incident that happened at the competition to further back up the point that Midnight is a pedophile. However, the line she makes in the anime, which is that she quote-unquote got turned on, did not happen in the manga. It was actually changed in the anime, to my knowledge. Then people use the argument that because she's a girl, she's more likely to get away with it than if it was a guy, which I'll give it that because that is a thing that happens in society where women are more likely to get away with stuff like that than men. But like I said, I'm not really sure specifically on her character if she is whatsoever. Like I said with Gentle Criminal's case, I'd like to hear what you guys think in the comments. Aizawa is an imposter. A very, very far-fetched theory that some fans have is that Aizawa is not the Aizawa we know today, and that he basically was an imposter from the League of Villains back in season 1. So the theory goes that it's possible that the Aizawa who reappeared is not the real one, but is actually an imposter sent by the League of Villains to report back to them about Yue's activities. While he does have a scar from his injuries, that could have easily been faked to throw people off. This could add on to the Yue traitor theory, but I don't know, this one seems a bit far-fetched, but I'm not sure. You know, I'd like to hear what you guys think down below. The winged Nomu is actually Bakugo's childhood friend. As sad as it is, this has been actually implied to be true, because of how similar the characters' wings are. So many people have the theory, and I believe it's actually true, in which the winged Nomu is actually Bakugo's childhood friend that we see in the flashback. And you can literally see the similarity, especially in the wing design. Yes, the wings did change color, but like I stated earlier, Nomus are literally corpses of multiple human beings put together. So that's why it can look like that. And honestly, this entire theory that's really sad. It really is. Night Eye is dead because of the butterfly effect. In chaos theory, the butterfly effect is the sensitive dependence on initial conditions in which a small change in one state can result in larger differences in a later state. The term is closely associated with the work of mathematician and meteorologist Edward Lorenz. So how this theory possibly goes is that Night Eye had saw that Deku was possibly going to die due to the incident with Overhaul. As we all know, Deku isn't dead because the manga is still going. Anyway, so because the butterfly effect is basically anything small can have large effects in the future, Deku had made the comment that there has to be another way or something like that. He could have said or did something differently that led to him not dying, but possibly Night Eye dying, if you see where I'm coming from. This seems like a very interesting plot, or not a plot, but like a theory, because Night Eye has said that his predictions are never wrong, and something changed in order for his prediction to be wrong. So it does seem very plausible that it could have been the butterfly effect. Midnight was raped. My Hero Academia manga spoilers. Okay, so this one just rubs me the wrong way, especially thinking that somebody on either TikTok or Twitter came up with this theory. So basically, during the midst of Midnight's death, there was a group of villains coming towards her, and while she was down, one of the villains made the comment, "She's mine." So a lot of people took this into the context that Midnight was raped by that particular villain. But first off, you have to remember that Midnight and this villain in particular have fought before. So that villain could have said the line, "She's mine," because he wanted to be the one to kill her. Also, after her death, her body is in a position where it looks like she was beat to death. So that's probably what happened. Honestly, for someone to make such a gruesome theory after a gruesome character death just baffles me, and it's very dark, and I do not think Horikoshi would have added something like this in the manga. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on this, and I don't think this should be a theory whatsoever. Deku's mom is dead. My Hero Academia manga spoilers. Earlier in the Iceberg, we talked about the decay wave, which was caused by Shigaraki and the League of Villains, which led to hero deaths and civilian deaths, and it is completely unknown how many people died. It is a sad likelihood that this could have happened, and it possibly happened for plot reasons, in which many fans noticed that in a manga panel before the incidents of the decay wave, that Midoriya's mom had entered a shop that was around the area of the city that got destroyed. But I think with Midoriya's mom possibly being dead, this would bring in the perfect opportunity to bring in Deku's dad, and this would cause Deku to have a whole rampage. You already know. So as sad as it is, I really think this theory is true, but we won't know until it gets confirmed, and it's gonna be really sad if it is. So my final thoughts on this video have to be, oh my god, this video is literally over an hour, and this is the only Iceberg video that has reached an hour long in runtime. And yeah, I also do hope you guys enjoyed the addition of an extra layer. I really wanted to add it because other Icebergs did have layers that had stuff like this, but you know, I wanted to tackle this one because it seemed a bit more interesting to me. So I decided to make a whole layer with all those other stuff, as well as stuff I had heard of, and add it into this video. without that layer, the video would have been a little bit under an hour, but with it, it went over an hour. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I really hope you all enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Comment down below what else you guys want me to talk about on this channel. I'm sorry for the sad theories. I want to apologize. I'm handing out virtual tissues. And yeah, I hope you have a great day or night depending on where you live. And I'll see you guys next time on my channel. Bye, guys.